sit there sometimes by myself or with my friends, and we would write down phonetically what the song sounded like just so we can sing along.
Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, you guys, if you rock with me every Monday, you know what I do and you know how I do. I tell you a few things about our special guests. But before we get started, if you're new to this program and you just tapped in, subscribe and find out what Message Reveal is all about. Now, let's get back into business. And as I always do, I tell you a few things about our special guest. So, one, she is a certified life coach. Yes, we can't wait to find out more about that. Number two, her and her husband has a family-owned plant shop and a creative studio. It is absolutely beautiful, you guys, but we'll find definitely more about that. And last but not least, they offer courses and events, and we'll dig in and find out about that as well. So you guys, please put your hands together for the owner of Rooting for You, Miss Marcia Castro.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be here with you today.
I appreciate that. I tell any guest, if you take time out of your Friday to come support me, I appreciate you. And I want the world to know that.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Well, everybody knows that I love music. Music, it's in my soul, it's in my DNA, it's my coaching, it's my counseling, it's my celebration. But next to music are my plants. Woo, honey. I love me some plants. They talk to me, I talk to them. I love on them, they love on me. And I say that because you owning your store, Rooting for Me, please tell me the impetus for you to begin this process.
Well, actually, on top of the life coaching and the plant, my origin story has to do with my 30-year career as a nurse practitioner. So I am a nurse practitioner. I have been in medicine for about 30 years. I started my career in oncology, did 11 years in oncology, 7 years in hospice care, and then I moved to Las Vegas and continued taking care of people. And when the pandemic hit, I was at a point where I really needed something to de-stress. I really needed something. I have a very busy brain and I have a very hard time with, conventional meditation because my brain is busy. So for me, the meditation that works the best is active meditation. So as I was talking to my I still practice functional medicine. And as I was talking to my patients and suggesting activities to get them into flow and to help them meditate, I kind of figured out that plant care for me was self-care. And during pandemic, with the gift of time, which I didn't have much of before, I really started diving into plant care, and I would get lost in my backyard. Then I brought some plants indoors and I would get lost taking care of them. And I started noticing the benefits, the emotional benefits, the mental health benefits that I got from plants. And I was always also at the end of my, medical career and wanting to look for what I call my retirement business, something that wouldn't be so stressful, that will give back to the community and allow myself to not just use my nerdy side, but my creative side. And that's how Rooting for You was born.
Wow.
It was a pandemic gift, believe it or not.
I think a lot of us had time to slow down during the pandemic, whether it was forced or it was just necessary to survive. And in that process, we were able to discover other layers of us that was always innately in us, but we didn't have the time. We're doing the business of working, getting the kids, if you're married, your husband, if you're a partner, whatever it was, We did not identify the time to and let our higher self feel what we needed. I felt like that was a part of so many of our journey with that.
Oh, absolutely. For me, I hadn't had that much time off or time to just sit and ponder and really think about the next steps. And I was just in the hamster wheel, happy, but just trucking along, two kids, three dogs, a husband, my patients. But my soul was wanting something lighter, was wanting to pivot. I'm 55 this year. I went through menopause during pandemic, which was also very revealing and very, interesting. But it was a time for me to really look inwards and say, what do I want the second half of my life to look like? What do I want to give? What do I want my legacy to be? And also giving permission for myself to not just reinvent myself, but I had cared for people for 30 years, and it's not an easy step to get away from that and say, okay, now I'm going to do something completely different, and I'm just going to care for my plant babies, and I'm going to in a different way. So giving myself permission to pivot was really, really important for me.
I absolutely love that. So I have invisible cues. You can't see them, I can't see them, but you're speaking to someone's spirit. You're speaking to their heart. And the mere fact that you said giving myself permission. A lot of times we do everything, but we don't give ourselves permission to do the things that we need to take us to the next elevated level. So I applaud you for that. And you're talking to someone that needed to hear that.
Wonderful. There were times in my life that I needed to hear myself. And even though I said that to many, many of my own patients, and I was encouraging them to do the same, I wasn't taking my own advice, whether it was for fear or lack of time, or because I wasn't allowing myself to stop and really, hear my soul and see what it wanted. It took me a long time to take my own advice. But since then, I have, and it's been an incredible journey.
I love that. It's wonderful. I love the transparency that you're providing, but we're going to get into this boat, this water boat, and we're going to go a different route. And we're going to talk a little bit about my favorite thing, music. Oh, music has turned me all the way out in a great way, in a great way. So I say all that to say, can you identify a song that has either blessed you, provided perspective, or distracted you? But before you answer, there's a few rules to this. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out.
Oh my gosh, I don't even sing in the bathroom. I don't think anybody wants to hear my voice.
Well, if you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. I need you to do it like you do it, okay? But last but definitely not least, if you cannot do either or, you can say it with passion. We have a saying in the street, stand 10 toes down. That means I need to feel it. I need to feel whatever you're saying to understand that process. So I'll go back to my original question that I asked you. Can you identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or provided perspective?
I am going to go with What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. It is a song that I listened to growing up, and I thought it was melodic. Now a little background on me. I grew up in Brazil, not speaking English. Okay.
What?
So, however, it's a country of now about 300 million people. Nobody speaks English, especially back then when I lived there in the 70s and the 80s. However, people are in love with music. We have a very strong music scene, Brazilian popular music, and we have a lot of different influences. And we influenced a lot of American music, but we also were in love with the bands from the United States and the singers and from Europe as well. But the interesting thing about that is that we were in love with the music without understanding a word of what people were singing,
Wow. Isn't that the beauty of music?
which is so incredible. I have memories of being a young teenager, and back then we had vinyl records and mixtapes. And I would be like sitting next to my mixtape recorder, trying to make mixtapes, and I have the DJ mess up my music. And I had no idea what people were saying. Then I would sit there sometimes by myself or with my friends, and we would write down phonetically what the song sounded like just so we can sing along.
Wow.
And it's incredible. I wish I had some of those notebooks because I would look after I moved to the States and I learned English. I came across going home one time some of those notebooks and I was just cracking up because it wasn't even remotely close to what the real words were. But it allowed me to pretend that I knew the lyrics, and I just loved the music so much that I wanted to sing it. And it's what you said, the music just inspires you at the soul level, despite of you understanding the message or not.
Yes, yes.
So what's going on was just a beautiful song that it did something to me, but I had no clue what it meant until I learned English and I listened back and I'm like, it was so much more profound than I realized.
Wow. So once you realize what it was and you said it was so much, you're like, this is really something deep. What's going on?
Absolutely. And it's so relevant, right? And it was a song written, I think, in the at the end of the 60s or beginning of the 70s, and it was very relevant then, and it's still very relevant now.
Yes, honey, that is definitely the truth. Yes, I think everybody can tap into that and say, okay, what's going on?
Mhm.
And those songs that are timeless, I believe, will never go out of style. It will always be someone that's tapping into songs like that.
And what's so incredible is that I had no idea what they were saying, but I felt it. I knew
Mm,
there was a deeper message. I knew there
yes.
was something about it that moved me. I didn't know what it was. So it transcends words.
Yes, yes. And that's why I say higher vibration, that we can tap into things vibrationally and not even know the gist of it, but our energy source is pulling us along the way and say that's a connection there. And then when you discover what it is, you go, wow. So that goes back to what I say, this is just a physical shield. We are much more than this skin and this face. We are a spiritual being encountering here on this realm, this physical human body, to encounter all these things, but it is layers to who we are.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about me discovering you guys. So I think it was a year ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, a friend of mine invited me to a restaurant on the corner. I cannot think of the name. And he said, hey, let's go grab a bite. And I said, oh, I'm not really dressed. He was like, no, it's whatever you have on. So I'm like, okay. So we go to the restaurant and he made the order. And I'm sitting and I'm looking and I see people go in and out. And I'm like, okay, rooting for you. I'm looking and I see, you know what? I see it looks like it's a plant shop. I was like, can we go over? And I don't know if you're familiar with the Little Mermaid, and when she
Oh,
discovers something, it's, or no, she said, seeing Ariel, she's like, ah, I lost my mind. But even in the process of losing my mind, your staff that you had was so welcoming. And on top of that, you guys had this music going on. Oh my God, I lost it. I lost it. It was beautiful. When you say sensory overload, I was like, oh my God. I see this, I see that, I see the music playing. Oh my gosh. And then next door to it, you have your creative studio that people can rent, and you'll tell us more about that. But I just thought it was a wonderful world of, oh my gosh, and am I really here? And in addition to that, you guys have a lot of different little things that I had not seen at other plant shops. One of the guys that was there kind of showed us this temperature thermometer thing that I had never saw before, that can check the temperature and also the water source. And again, I may be getting it wrong, but I was like, oh my gosh. So please, that was my version. And I hope I did it a service, but give us a little bit of how you have a plant shop on one side and a creative studio on the other side.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. It just lights me up because this was a labor of love. Everything that you see in the store as well in the creative studio was imagined by me, put together by my family, hung by all of us. It was my son, my daughter. We all assembled everything. We didn't hire anybody, so it was truly a family business because it was also important for my husband and I to show the kids how it's done and to put them into the fold so they feel the ownership and also they realize what it takes to open a business and to run a small business. It's not an easy feat, but it was a very fun family project. So I was here 12, 14, 16-hour days, putting the place together. And my goal was to provide, first of all, we wanted it to be a third place, right? Starbucks says you go home, you go to work, you go to Starbucks. Well, we wanted to be the third place. We
Mm,
wanted you to be able to go to work, go home, and then come here. And we wanted people to know your name. And we wanted the staff to be welcoming. And we wanted everybody to feel included and feel accepted and feel like this was a safe space. And we wanted people to be inspired and be in awe. Plant lovers or not, because a lot of people, we have a lot of visitors that are not necessarily plant parents, but just like to be in the presence of live things
mhm.
and a beautiful space. So we first opened the plant shop and we had that going for about 6 months until we decided to take the adjacent store and open the creative studio.
Ooh.
In the creative studio, it was here to, first of all, it started off as an idea to have a showroom so people that were buying plants could come in here and have ideas on how to decorate with plants.
Mm.
And we also wanted to be a space where people, if you're hanging out, if you need to work during the day, we have Wi-Fi. If the studio is not rented, come and work from here. Meet your people here. We've had people get married here. We've had people have their first dates here. We have social hours, happy hour, $5 drinks every Friday. We have had live music events. We have had comedy hour. We wanted it to
Mm.
be a community hub for locals that, first of all, won't break the bank. You don't have to pay $20 for a drink. And, plenty of parking, easy in and out, and just a place for people to come and hang.
Yes.
So that's what the creative studio became, and we're so proud of it. It's so much fun because my husband and I always also love music. Our dating history is filled with music festivals, jazz fest in New Orleans, and all sorts, Rock in Rio, and so all sorts of things. So music was a huge part of our lives. In my previous life, I used to be a dancer, so music was
Oh,
always always involved. And my husband used to be a stand-up comedian. So we always really love and want to support local artists. And then also we rent the spaces. People have had, celebrations of life, birthdays, baby showers. So it's just a very versatile space. We also host plant workshops for people who want to learn. We have repotting parties for people to bring their plants and we pot them up. So, and when people suggest events, we have a book club, we have sound baths, yoga classes. So you name it, we've had it at the studio.
I love it. I love that so I'm big on village community, whatever you want to call it, but that is where somewhere you need support and somewhere someone is like, I'm available to do so. Village is so deep and vast and wide. I would not be here on this platform if it was not for my village. And my tone that I'm hearing from you is that we are collectively inviting the village to our location. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, growing up in Brazil, the concept of it takes a village is really, really alive and pulsing in Brazil. Multi-generational households, neighbors. So it's a very community-centric country. And I've been here for 30 plus years, 35 years, but I've missed that sense of community, the deep sense of community. And I
Mhm.
know I miss it for me, I miss it for my kids. So
Oh,
built this, I'm like, I want this to be a community hub for us as well as like-minded individuals that need a sense of community. I feel like this is more important than ever.
I love that. Not only being a native, born and raised, we need to have spots within the city of Las Vegas that holds that essence of community, and not just say it, really, really vibrate on a high level with offering that hub for that, because we know with community is connection, and with connection, you'll never feel alone or without. Someone is always available.
I agree 100%.
Now, we're going to talk about one thing that when I had the opportunity to go over to the creative space, I love the decorations. It's so versatile, but it's so high vibrational and it's so on point. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're sitting right there in that chair that I absolutely love. Like,
I
it,
am.
yes, I did not want to get out. Literally, my friend was like, okay, it's time to go. And I was like, okay, let me just sit here one more time. And I'm very open. I'm an energy person. I will not stay anywhere too long if it's not right. And I did not want to leave. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this place. It's like you continue to discover things over and over again. I love your wall you have in back of you, but it also in one area you have multiple little what is it, plants that is a part of the decoration. Where did that come about to do that? I think that was super dope.
I love decorating. I love design, right? It's funny because I'm a super nurse practitioner, medicine and all that, but I have a huge creative side. I used to be a dancer. I love creating things. Most of the merchandise at the store, I make myself at home. So I love making things and I love creating things. And when I first started having plants a long time ago, I wasn't in love with plants yet. I was in love with the way they beautify the space.
Hmm.
And that's what was my entryway into plant care. It was just I didn't understand the lighting they needed, the tree, but I knew they look beautiful. So when I was decorating the creative studio, I wanted it to be versatile, but I wanted it to have ideas for people to then take home and do it themselves. Because sometimes people buy the plants, but like, where should I put it? How can I beautify my space? So it was for it to be a showroom. It had to have live plants everywhere. I also wanted it to be versatile because sometimes we do rent it for content creators and podcasters. So I wanted every to have like different types of backgrounds and walls. So if people rented the space, they could have different backgrounds as they were navigating their videos. And I also wanted to leave the middle of the room free so we could configure it in different ways. Because sometimes we'll have long tables, sometimes we'll have bistro tables for concerts. So we needed to be versatile. So I leaned heavily into the walls. We have all the walls are full of plants with different styles of plants. I incorporated some smart lighting to add a touch of modern, and some comfortable seats. Every seat has a back because girl can't sit without a back for much longer these days anymore.
I agree with you.
So it was just, I wanted people to be inspired and I wanted the people to feel, oh, it's beautiful. I wanted the air quality to be improved. You walk in here, you feel humidity is higher, the air feels cleaner, and I wanted it to be comfortable so people would want to come and hang.
Yes, you have did that. I can't wait to encourage people to come to your spot. I believe if they just come one time, they'll understand the essence of what we've talked about because it really, really, truly is a beautiful spot. And she is not paying me to say this. This is my own experience.
I appreciate that so much. There was a lot of
Yes,
attention to detail.
yes, yes, and beautifully done, beautifully done. I would like to know, can you identify a song that you had the opportunity to purchase as a child? Like nobody influenced you. You like, oh, you hear the song, you like, that is my song or my artist, and you save whatever money you had, whether it was for Christmas, whether it was cleaning a house, or auntie and uncle provided you some money, but it was your own choice. It was your own opportunity to choose. Can you identify a song?
I actually have very vivid memories about that vinyl record that I purchased because I didn't understand why it was a little controversial at the time. I was a young teenager in my probably 12, 13. It was Madonna Like a Virgin. Madonna hit huge in Brazil, and we all wanted to be her. And it was a different sound and a different look. And it was a girl, and she was dancing, and she was irreverent. We didn't understand the lyrics at all, but I saved my money and I bought her vinyl.
What? You know, that song, I have a story with that song as well. I remember singing that song and my uncle, and I was like, what does it mean? Like a virgin, touched for the very first time. And he was like, don't sing that song. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Not knowing what it was all about until later.
The good thing is that my parents didn't know either because they didn't speak English either. So you had a country of preteens, tweens, and teens singing like a virgin, and nobody thought twice about it.
Wow. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. Where were you, or how old were you when you identified what it actually meant?
Oh, it was after I moved to the States and learned English. I didn't really, and that's with most of the songs. I sang all songs through my childhood and teenage years. I moved to the States when I was 19. Took me
Mhm.
a couple of years to understand English. Then the songs will pop up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember distinctively that the Police had that song, Every Breath You Take.
Yes.
That it sounded like such a love ballad. And I remember when I paid attention to the lyrics later on in life, I'm like, that's kind of like control and stalking, you know? Every breath you take, I'll be watching you. I'm like, that's not very, but back then it was melodic and I thought it was a love song. And then after I listened to it later on, I'm like, I don't know if it was a love song and if it was a very controlling boyfriend saying that she's
Yes.
not going to get away. So there were a lot of instances like that.
Yes. And you know, with music, I say it is according to your life experience, your wisdom, and your understanding. Because one of the questions I've asked, which you've already answered, so to speak, can you identify a song that you've been singing all your life and you become an adult and you go, wait 1 minute, I've been singing this song all that time. And then I thought it meant this and it meant something else. But it's the tone, it's the cadence. When we're young, we're like, ooh, I like the energy of it. And then once you realize what it's all about, you go, oh, I get it. And it wasn't the intent when you sung it or when you did. Like, we'll go back to the song, Like a Virgin. We didn't know. We were just, it was fun. It was poppy.
It was a very fun song. We all danced to it, didn't think twice about it.
Yes, yes. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't touch into something that you just talked about, being originally from Brazil and then coming to Vegas. Not Vegas, excuse me, to the States. How was that initial transition and how did you navigate those waters, excuse me, to say, I can do this? Because that takes a lot of heart to be able to acclimate into something totally new.
I think there's a lot of ignorance is bliss at the time. And if I'm going to be fully transparent, my parents, after 25 years of marriage, had gotten a divorce. And I was, in a way, trying to escape that situation. I was struggling with that. The country, Brazil back then, was also in upheaval. And it was a country back then, well, it still is to a certain degree, where no matter, how much you study, if you have a degree, even if you get a job, it doesn't pay enough that you can support yourself. So I was struggling with, okay, I want to be independent. I need to be able to establish myself. How can I do that? And I had a couple friends who lived in the United States, and they said, here back then, 35 years ago, no matter what menial job you find, you'll be able to support yourself. That was the case
Mm.
back then, 35 years ago. So that was a big attraction for me. But of course, I was 19. I started planning this when I was 18. And the mind of an 18-year-old. I have a 19-year-old now, and I look at him, I'm like, I don't know how I came to this country at that age. So there was a lot of, if it felt like an adventure. It didn't feel like an escape. I didn't
Mhm.
have the perspective that I was actually escaping a lot of things until I therapized myself later in life. But back then, I just thought it was going to be an adventure. Companies in Brazil, the only companies that paid well were multinational companies, and you needed to be able to speak English.
Mm,
My 18-year-old plan is I'm going to go to the States. I'll get whatever job they'll give me. I'll learn the language, and then I will return and get a job that pays enough that I can then be independent. So
wow.
that was my brilliant plan. But it was
And
a
you
lot harder than I anticipated.
and you end up here.
And I end up in the United States for now 30, this year is going to be 36 years in August.
Wow. Do you have a heart to go back home, or you like to have the dual time to go home and then come back?
I've struggled with that over the years. There was a time when I returned home for a year and tried to be there, but it was the same thing. I wasn't able to be financially independent, and I'm like, I rather be in a position to help my family and not be a burden to my family.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make some tough choices to be away from them. Very extremely, extremely close to my family. I go home at least twice a year. They come visit. So we're very, very tight, and I miss them terribly. But this was the place where I had the opportunities to make a life for myself, for my family, and to be able to help them back home.
That's wonderful.
It's the quintessential immigrant story. Most of us have this type of, so we come here, we want to add value. We want to support our families back home. And all we want to do is add value to America and get acculturated, hopefully, and create a community here that accepts us.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, I thank you for your 35 years. I say we are much more richer, and we have a experience of experiencing you because of that. I think nothing is by accident. I think we talk often about people coming to America, but we don't talk as often as people from America going to other countries as well. So I'm gonna have to maybe do a episode on that, because people seem to only see one side of it, and it's a two-way street.
Yes.
So I know that I use this term, life be lifing, meaning we all have our ups and downs as we navigate through life. Sometimes we expect one thing and it's a different outcome that comes about. With that being said, if you have a moment where your spirit is really down and you need something to pick you up, and I'm going there with a song, some music, can you identify a song that will elevate your spirit? And only that song can do it. You can ride in a car, you can be at home lost in it, and it just really picks you up.
Yes. Lean on Me.
Oh
Lean
my
on
God.
Me is another one of those songs that would always bring me to tears, even before I understood the meaning. And it's a song that I think I want to live by. I've spent my whole career taking care of other people. I'm a nurturer by trade. I have a lot of friends. I like to show up for people. I'm somebody who likes to show up. And I have a wonderful people that I can lean on. And I always want to give the message that people can lean on me. And my
Mm.
friends and my family absolutely know that. And I am lucky enough to have numerous people in my life that I know will do the same for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. And since I've given you the opportunity to not talk about, give me a little bit of the lyrics of the song. You don't have to sing it, but the lyrics of the song that really resonates with you for Lean
Lean
on Me.
on me. On me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help to carry on. I mean, that's beautiful, right? It,
Yes,
it is beautiful. I think if you have friends in life, friends are your chosen family. And whether you can lean on to your family or to your friends, that's the most beautiful gift anybody can have.
I agree. That goes back to the village that we were talking about as well. So let's talk about something that when we had our pre-interview, I was like super excited about, and it's about this Amazon river, boat, plant. I'm trying to get it out right. So I'm going to throw it back to you. And if you can tell us a little bit about it and what it offers, and we'll make sure we have a link in the description box. So if someone wants to tap in and participate, they have the opportunity.
Absolutely. I have an uncle who has lived in the Amazon for over 40 years, and he does ecotourisms in the Amazon. And about 20 years ago, he built his own riverboat, 4-tier riverboat, and he takes people from all countries, America, Europe, and some Brazilians as well, through ecotourism in the Amazon. I took this trip with my family in 2017, I believe was my first one. Last year we went back and did it again. We brought some friends along. And then I decided to partner with horticulturist Leslie Halleck. She is incredible. She's been in the industry for decades. She's authored multiple books. She's the expert on all things plants. And I figured, wouldn't it be fun if we could join forces and we could have an expert on the trip for the plant lovers that, are going to be able to go botanizing with a horticulturist, and my uncle, who is the local guide, who's done dozens of trips with the National Geographic and things of the sort. So they would have a Brazilian native guide. They will have a horticulturist. I would come in with some life coaching, and we would make it we would end up converging botany and some life coaching and wellness, and create a 1-week opportunity for people to come recharge, be in the Amazon. It's glamping. It is rustic, but it's super comfortable. Every room is double bed with air conditioning, hot water. You have your own bathroom. All your meals are catered for you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We go on canoe excursions morning and evening. We swim with the pink dolphins. It's a bucket list trip. It's a dream come true, just to, nourish the soul. We take up to 16 people, so it's a very private, intimate group, but it's just incredible just to you're in awe. You're in the presence of nature and in remote areas, and it's just incredible. Even if you're not a super plant nerd, it's still incredible. Just you come back super recharged.
Wow. It just sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to tap in to experience that. In addition to that, I'm glad you kind of gave them a summary of what's available. What if someone has a dietary issues? Maybe they can't eat any meat, or they are gluten free or soy free, or accommodations.
All dietary restrictions are taken into consideration. They can make adjustments for all of it. When I went on my first trip, my daughter, I think, was only 3 years old. So kids are welcome. Well, not for the botany trip, we're trying to do adults only, but we will be doing
Yes.
other trips, and families are welcome. The San Diego Orchid Society always brings groups. They're on the 11th or 12th trip this year. And
Wow.
sometimes they're 80-year-olds on the trip. So there's something for everyone. You can hike, but the hikes are mild. And there's so much to see that you really don't have to hike far.
Wow.
And you can swim in the river. We canoe a lot because there's a lot of plants to see along the margins of the river. We visit local communities. We swim with the dolphins. We hang out on the boat. The 4th deck has a little jacuzzi.
Oh,
There's a bar and a
gosh.
bartender if people want to, imbibe a little bit. The food is cooked fresh every day. It's really an incredible way to not be roughing it, but still have the rustic, authentic experience in the Amazon.
Oh my gosh. I mean, everything you're saying, I'm like, check, 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 check. Like, it sounds like a wonderful experience. And the mere fact that I've noticed when I travel anywhere, when you have someone native or local there, they know the ins and outs that no one else may know.
Absolutely. And we're actually setting this trip up in a way where the van is going to come pick us all up at the airport. We would all be arriving together, take us straight to the boat, and on the way back, take us straight to the airport. So people don't have to do any guesswork for anything. Everything, once they book their ticket, everything else is done for them. So
Wow.
they don't have to worry about safety. It was important for me and Leslie partnering together that, sometimes females that feel unsafe traveling alone or traveling to other countries or botanizing in the jungle. So we wanted to make sure that we thought of everything so everybody felt absolutely safe and knew they were going to be taken care of the minute they landed to the minute they take off back to the States.
I love this. I don't think people realize, well, I'm going to speak for me. I feel like this is such an enormous opportunity to be able to experience these things. And I'm so excited. I initially heard it on the live. What is the lady name again that
Horticulturist Leslie Halleck,
Les
Halleck. Look her up. She's incredible.
when the two of you guys went online on Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in, I'm ready to go. So anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for sharing that with my audience. So if people want to tap in, what would be the deadline date for the individuals to select their ticket? Because we know this is about 6 to 7 months out, correct?
Yes, we're trying to keep enrollment open until the end of March. At the end of March, we'll see how many people do we have. We can take a maximum of 16 people, but we need a minimum of 10. And then the only thing that people are going to be responsible for once they sign up is to book their own flight. But we have picked the flight for them out of Panama, so we all arrive together.
Oh, wonderful.
And the wonderful thing about Panama is you can fly to Panama. Panama is beautiful. So if you want to break up the trip and not make a huge long trip to Brazil, Panama is only 3.5 hours from the Amazon. So it's 6 hours from where I am in Las Vegas. So some people were talking about going to Panama a couple of days earlier, hanging out in the rainforest. It's inexpensive and beautiful. And then everybody's going to meet us on the second leg from Panama to the Amazon, which is only 3.5 hours away.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for providing the information. And I would encourage anybody, if you have the opportunity to tap in, do so. Sometime we're looking for new experience, and new experience will bring new opportunities into your life just by being in a different environment. So I would encourage you to tap in. And if this is your jam or your jelly, or you're looking for new jam and jelly, come check this out.
Absolutely. And also know if you can join this group, but you want to put your own group together, just reach out to us and we'll make that happen. A lot of families and friends prefer to just get their own group and go as a group. That's also available.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Wow. It's been such a wonderful opportunity to speak to you, to hear your story. One of the things that I would like to showcase and to say thank you for highlighting Black History Month. I was very impressed, super impressed that your team put together some fun facts about Black History Month. And one of the individuals that I'm going to bring up is Henrietta Lacks. Are you familiar with her?
Yes.
Her and I share the same birthday.
You give me goosebumps just now.
And what this woman has contributed to the world, a lot of people still don't know that without her consent, that her cells were used for multiple things. But I'm saying this in a good way. I had no idea it was also used for plant research as well, about the different virus, how to study and keep the plants at optimum care. Can you tell me what made you guys select this particular? And I had no idea about the plant part of it. Can you tell me what made
I have to give credit to my staff, Jana and Tiffany. Okay. They are always looking for fun facts, and they are always trying to tie fun facts with what's relevant to the culture at the moment. Okay.
Yes.
We have a very diverse group here. I'm from Brazil. Tiffany is from the Philippines. Jana's from the Philippines, and Tiffany is African American. So we have a very diverse group, and we're always trying to educate the public, but also educate I had no idea either. Educate each other And so I give complete credit to Tiffany and Jenna. And
Oh,
you've met them. They're incredible.
yes. Let's clap them up,
Yes.
because I think that's so wonderful. I like that you said this. So I have a thing, I try the spirit by the spirit. I am no longer invested in, people say, oh, this person looks like this. What is the spirit looking like? How can you connect spiritually with them? And if you have the same vibe as I, then we can work together. So I love the diversity that you provide, because the reality is, this world is based on diversity, no matter what the media may play. And if you cannot be able to operate in that space, you are sinking in some sand that you won't come up from.
Preach, girl. I agree 100%.
So before we get out of here, because I can talk to you forever and forever about music, about plant, about life, can you identify a song that you can dedicate to the world, a love song that really resonate or showcase who you are?
I think I'm gonna go with a notey, but an amazing song by John Lennon, Imagine. It's the
Mm,
song that I performed as a dancer when I was a child, but I also didn't know what it meant.
wow.
But it's such a beautiful, simple song, but it's such a beautiful melodically, but also beautiful sentiment and message behind it.
Yes, I think that's wonderful. We clap you up for that. Imagine.
Yeah, it's a
I
beautiful
love
song.
that. I just had a couple of months ago the mayor of North Las Vegas, which is the first Black mayor in 158 years. And she chose that very song as well.
Wow,
So, two
that's
of you
wonderful.
special ladies, imagine. And it had so many, if you think about the words of the song, it will never again, timeless, and it will never go out of reach. So, thank you for sharing parts of you, for being transparent on your journey through life, talking about your beautiful plants and your creative studio, and just life in general, and this amazing trip that I'm going to put into fruition that I'm going to be a part of.
Thank you
So,
so much for having me. This was so much fun.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself. Before we get out of here, I do have to say, I talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and where we grow, but the destination is where we celebrate. Far too often, we work, 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 and we don't
Don't tell.
celebrate. So we don't get a chance to really appreciate. We need to massage the muscle that we did all of this and have a good time with it. But when it's all said and done, we got to get back into that journey, because we can't celebrate forever. We got to get back into that journey so we can continue to learn, to elevate, and just celebrate, learn life. With that being said, when I have my men on, I salute them. With my women, I bow. So I bow to you, beautiful lady.
And I bow to you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so, so very much. You guys, please. Oh, before I get out of here, is there any last words you would like to share, or say anything about your um your company, excuse me, your business, and also tell them about, even though I'm going to put the links in the description box, phone number, address, all that great stuff.
All right. So you can find us on socials at Rooting for You LV on Instagram and Facebook. Our website is rooting dash the number 4 the letter u.com. Hopefully, Hallema is going to link all that into the show notes so you guys can see it. We have happy hour every Fridays, 5 to 8, $5 drinks. We have Sunday bubbles, $5 mimosas every Sunday. We have live events on our Instagram. You see our monthly events pinned. Come join us. Come say hello. I would love to meet you all.
You guys, please, please put your hand together and welcome and thank, excuse me, my beautiful guest, rooting for me, Miss Marcia Castro. Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. And as I say to all my guests, I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets.
Wonderful. See you soon.